Federal government denies false claims of religious genocide.
Nigerians assured of steady supply of petroleum products and amid Naira disputes.
Nigeria Railway Corporation announces resumption of Abuja-Kaduna train service.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on government's technical and vocational education initiative.
Over the past few months, a quiet shift has been taking place in Nigeria's education space.
And in May, the federal government rolled out the Technical and Vocational Education Training Program, TVET, designed to give young people practical skills that can actually use whether they are employed or in a small business.
This initiative doesn't just cover a single course, but is an entire pathway, and tuition is fully covered with a monthly stipend to ease living cost.
The trainings are delivered by professionals in renewable energy, construction, automotive, technology, digital media, and so on.
And many more. At the end, there is a recognized certificate, a starter pack, and even access to low-interest loans, so each graduate can put their training to work straight away.
Indeed, and with a new curriculum now in place for the 2025-2026 academic year, the Ministry of Education says TVET is meant to match real industry needs.
So what difference could this make for young Nigerians and employers? We have a panel of experts joining us shortly to speak to all the issues. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, the first of the week. We are live on the NTA. I am Ademola Adeoye.
And I am Jumwa Yusuf. Welcome you to the program. Newspaper Review will get to you shortly. But first, let's take the news. Comfort Amadu will be giving us the latest stories making the trends. Good morning, Comfort.
Good morning, Jumai and Ademola. Good morning, Nigerians. Let's start with the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, who has departed New York, United States, after successfully representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. During his participation at the UNGA 80, Shettima secured UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres' commendation for Nigerians' bid for a permanent UN Security Council seat. He also showcased Nigerians' $200 billion energy transition opportunity to global investors and strengthened strategic partnerships with the UK on trade, defense and migration issues. The Vice President delivered President Tinubu's national statement calling for UN reforms and a permanent seat for Nigeria at the UN Security Council. Even as he demanded Africa's control over its $700 billion mineral wealth and digital inclusion initiatives. He also engaged with the Gates Foundation on healthcare and education expansion, positioning Nigeria as the natural hub for the African Continental Free Trade Area's $3.4 trillion market. The Vice President was seen off at John F. Kennedy International Airport, New York, by cabinet ministers who were part of the UNGA 80th delegation and Nigerian mission officials. He will return to Nigeria immediately after an engagement in Germany. And back home, Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has strongly condemned and refuted allegations by some international platforms and influencers suggesting that terrorists in Nigeria are engaged in a systematic genocide against Christians. According to him, terrorist groups attack all who reject their murderous ideology, Muslims, Christians, and non-religious alike, and portraying the situation as a targeted campaign against one faith plays into the hands of criminals seeking to divide Nigerians. Idris stressed that under President Bola Tinubu's leadership, government remains committed to degrading terrorist groups, securing lives and property, and working with international partners to address the global threats of terrorism. He disclosed that between May 2023 and February 2025, more than 13,543 terrorists and criminals were eliminated and nearly 10,000 hostages are rescued in multiple military operations, including the capturing of top leadership of Ansaru, Nigeria's Al-Qaeda affiliate. He added that the armed forces and police have prosecuted 7 batches of Boko Haram suspects, securing over 700 convictions with an 8th circle underway, while also holding security personnel accountable through court-martials and prosecutions. Nigeria, he said, is a multi-religious state where Christianity is neither endangered nor marginalized and continues to export interfaith harmony models such as the Interfaith Mediation Center, whose co-founders recently received the inaugural Commonwealth Peace Prize. He urged international media to respect facts and support Nigeria's ongoing fight against terrorism rather than spread sensational and divisive narratives. Nigerian Police Force National Center Bureau of Interpol, NCMB, has arrested and handed over a notorious Beninois fugitive, Sunday Kotin, to authorities in Benin Republic. Kotin wanted for armed banditry, arms smuggling, cattle rustling, and drug trafficking fled into Nigeria after 7 members of his syndicate were arraigned in Benin. Acting on credible intelligence, operatives of the NCMB tracked and arrested him in Idi Iroko, Ogun State, before transferring him to Interpol Cotonou. Meanwhile, the Inspector General Police Kayode Egbetokun commended the officers involved, stressing that Nigeria will never be a safe haven for fugitives. He reaffirmed the force's commitment to upholding the rule of law, safeguarding national sovereignty, and strengthening international policing cooperation. Away from that, Nigerian Railway Corporation has announced the resumption of train services along the Abuja-Kaduna corridor this week. A statement signed by Callistus said the NRC's Chief Public Relations Officer indicates that train services will resume on Wednesday, October 1. Following the completion of repairs and safety checks on the affected section of the track at Asham Station, the NRC assures that it prioritizes passengers' safety and comfort and regrets the inconvenience caused by the suspension of train services due to the derailment incident. And the statement further says that the NRC has refunded ticket fees to 512 out of 583 passengers who were on board the affected train on the 26th of August this year. The federal government has appealed to the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASAN, to suspend its planned strike scheduled for today, Monday 29, over its dispute with Dangote Refinery. A statement by the Head Information and Public Relations of the Ministry, Patience Onuabi, notes that the Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Megari Dingyadi, said on Sunday that the ministry has invited both PENGASAN leadership and Dangote Refinery management to an emergency meeting in its office for conciliation, urging the union to withdraw its strike notice to allow for peaceful resolution. Meanwhile, the federal government has assured Nigerians of a steady supply of refined petroleum products, dismissing concerns about disruptions in the downstream oil sector. This follows recent concerns over the Naira for crude oil arrangements for a dispute between the Dangote Refinery and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria and the Steering Committee of the Domestic Crude Oil and Refined Products Sales in Local Currency. initiative chaired by Finance Minister Wale Edun met to address these issues and reaffirmed that there will be no disruption in the supply of refined petroleum products across the country. And the committee also assured that the crude oil for the Naira initiative will continue and all outstanding issues are being addressed with urgency. And in good faith, the meeting had in attendance key stakeholders, including the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, FIRS Chairman Zach Adedeji, and representatives from NNPC Limited, CBN, Afrexim Bank, and Dangote Refinery. Our reports are just reaching us says it indicates that the PIT, that of the federal government, has deployed a rescue team to a collapsed mine pit in Zamfara State, and 13 people have been confirmed dead, while 2 are still trapped in the building. We'll bring you details of that report in our subsequent bulletin, but meanwhile, let's stay tuned for Good Morning Nigeria with Ademola and Jume right after this commercial break. Good morning.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. This national competition is in 3 categories. The household category is a tree planting competition amongst 11 frontline states in northern Nigeria. Each participating household in Adamawa, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara states will plant a minimum of 1 tree to qualify, with a video evidence of before and after the tree planting exercise. 20 million naira will be awarded to the best household. Submission deadline is 20th December 2026. Community category will see local governments, local communities, schools, and NGOs reclaim and transform degraded or abandoned areas such as dump sites, landfills, parks, and their likes into green, vibrant gardens, parks, and eco-friendly spaces. 50 million naira would be awarded to the overall best community group. Deadline for submission is 15th July 2026. State category will have all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, excluding Enugu State, have a chance to address the growing threats to environmental sustainability and cleanliness. States will be judged based on the number of trees planted on major roads and inner streets and how clean they are. 100 million naira will be awarded to the best performing state. Already, Enugu State has 100 million naira for being RHI's model green state due to its greenery and cleanliness. Video evidence must be submitted by participating states on or before 20th December 2026. All entries must be directed to RHI Office, State House, Abuja, or email rhi.greenchallenge@statehouse.gov.ng. RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comal, an effective weapon against malaria.
Comal!
Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comal on. Malaria gone.
TerraCube is available in beef, chicken, jollof, and crayfish flavors in 50 cubes Saver Pack and 100 cubes Super Saver Pack.
TerraCube. Unwrap joy. Unleash taste.
For an exclusive 3-time skin effect, try Nivea Men Deep powered by Black Carbon. For 48-hour deep moisture, a fresh skin feel, and a long-lasting masculine fragrance. Make an impact with Nivea Men Deep Impact Body Lotion. Try Nivea Men Deep Roll-On for 72-hour antibacterial sweat protection.
The world needs moms. With a splash of Golden Terra Oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Change no thanks into yes please. Resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty family meals is all that matters. Where there are moms, there is love. Golden Terra Oil, pour pure love.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. 1 cube, endless possibilities.
Guys, food is ready.
Suitable for jollof rice, stew, spaghetti, and yam portage. Cook to impress.
Progress no dey happen just like that. It dey come from support when you need am.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
Na money point o.
Money point, thank you.
Customer, na transfer abi? Confirm.
Bro, na transfer.
Na money point oga. Oh, na confirm.
Progress na peace of mind when you know say payment go land as Sure Banker. Progress na small wind where they carry person go far.
No worry, yourself go make am. Mo go Bible.
Victor, even you they use money point?
Of course now, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money point, made for your progress.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance Oil. Good food, no worries.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. It's now time for newspaper review. Stay with us.
And our newspaper reviewer, Chukwudi Okolo-Baja, is seated here. Good morning, Chuks.
Good morning, Jumai. How are you doing?
How was the weekend?
Fine. I almost overslept this morning because of that night rain.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It was. It was quite cooling.
Yes.
Demola, how now?
I'm good.
I hope you hear from your folk.
They're doing well.
That's great.
Okay, let's go to the papers. I'll begin with the Daily Times newspaper this morning. And above the masthead of the Daily Times newspaper, allegations of genocide against Christians, false, divisive. That's coming from the Minister of Information. And the headlines, FG urges Pengerson to shelve strike, resolve feud with Dangote. You find the details on page 2. On the bottom plate of the Daily Times newspaper, ADC to Tinubu, seeking UN Security Council seats baseless without securing lives of Nigerians. Find the details on page 2. Withdraw appointments of APC members as REC, Serap tells Tinubu. Details on page 6. Rabies Day. 70% of dogs in Nigeria require vaccination to contain rabies. Details on page 5. And CBN boosts Nigeria with 570 million FX sales as reserves hit $42.2 billion. Find all the details on page 5. Let's quickly go to the Business NG, and in the Business NG above the masthead, PDP extends nomination deadline, postpones screening ahead of convention. Find the details on page 2. Investors dump first Hulco sales, price falls to 31 naira per share. Details on page 2. And the headlines in the Business NG: clash between Dangote, Pengasson escalates, FG pressure grows. And INEC boss bows out, search for successor intensifies. You find the details on page 2. Bank stocks look riskier after recapitalization. That's coming from economic analyst. You find all the details also on page 2. Dollar pension risks deepening naira instability, experts warn. Want to know all about that? You go to page 2. And new tax laws clash on SME definition. Details on page 2. Sedemola?
All right. Okay. I have the Nigeria newspaper. And just beside that, the nameplate, we have SEC raises the alarm over AI-generated investment scams across Nigeria. Details of that story can be found on page 15. Pengasson versus Dangote. Tension rises. Fear of fuel scarcity looms. We talked about that earlier. The details of that story can be found on page 2. FCTA earmarks 300 million naira for education scholarship of indigent students. Details on page 6. Tribute as Osade ex-chair PSC dies at 88. No religious genocide in Nigeria. Idris, Information Minister, dispels report of alleged terrorism against one religion. Chucks?
Yes, let me start with the last one, because it's a potential tinderbox which we should be careful in terms of how we address it. I think the last attack against the religious in this country happened when the Katsina Mosque was attacked. It's not a church. I've not heard about a church in the past almost 3 months now and all that. But the way to go about this is for us who are within to counter what mainly NGOs promote out there. Now they are citing sources in Canada and the U.S. State Department, as well as the International Christian Concern ICC, a watchdog group, which reportedly documented a dramatic rise in attacks against Christian communities. I think the federal government's intervention is quite important in matters like this, because if information is being put out against you, and you decide, since I know who I am, I'm not going to, that is going to tilt against you. So you counter it as well with a good evidence.
I guess that's why the Minister of Information is
there is no justification for a Muslim or a Christian to be attacked in this country. Let us learn, first of all, to see them as acts of criminality before you go sectarian, which is divisive. I think that's the little opinion I have to drop on the matter. Let us be careful how we talk about these things. But the one that really bothers me is the Pengasson, Dangote. What are they really quarreling about? You know, Pengasson, I'm for unionization, for crying out loud, because some employers could actually take advantage of workers sometimes if they don't have anybody who tells them, no, you can't do that.
You can do that.
But in case of the Dangote matter, I have not really seen where Dangote, descended the stake on people as such. Okay, the sacks or the sackings we just heard about, 800 people are being alleged to have been affected. that may be something that suggests that the company is adopting a hard stance. But then, I don't know how much you can dictate to a private company concerning how you want your union members to be. Somebody dropped something here when I came in. When ASU goes on strike,
the private universities,
do they join them and all that?
When NURT also goes on strike,
yes.
What about
doctors?
No, I mean, this road transport union, Uber don't go on strike.
They don't go on strike. Private hospitals don't go on strike. So they have to be careful. I am for being careful how we handle our workers. This is a subtle suggestion to Dangi Baba. You know, he has broken the jinx in this country concerning fuel supply.
Yes.
So I gave him that alias, Dangi Baba. You know, let him have a heart over handling workers, but at the end of the day, you don't dictate really to people in the private sector. So let them balance that thinking as they go about whatever they're going about. 12 a.m. midnight. 12 midnight is the...
I began to see queues yesterday when I was coming home from Area 1.
Yes.
I saw
panic buying has
started.
Actually, there is petrol.
But I think I have a feeling that the meeting the minister is having with them today is going to work out. You'll hear that they've suspended it. Yeah. It's joy-joying, you know. Let nobody draw their daggers.
I think they need to sit down with Dangote and find a level playing ground.
They would eventually find a level playing field. They have no choice.
The more they fight, the grass will suffer, and that is us.
You know, Dangote has become a very big player that can dictate a few things in the industry. That's the truth. Look at what the U.S. is doing to the rest of the world on tariffs. Because they have that muscle. It's a capitalist observation, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. It is what it is. You know, to find a way to handle the situation. Yes.
Okay. Well, yes, you want to talk about
the INEC boss, as INEC boss bows out, search for success.
We were engaged in a little social media back and forth over it. I would always ask you a journalistic question. If the man will be leaving in a few months, is it out of place for him to have a terminal leave, you know, an exit leave period and all that? A friend of mine, we worked in the same TV station at a point. We always argued, was saying, no, this one not bad belly. Incidentally, he happens to be a top-notcher in one of the political parties. So I'm not sure a journalist was talking to a journalist at that point, even though he was a wonderful journalist in his time, you know. Yes. These things will continue to be said. What I tell those in authority is to make sure that they are playing fair with the people of Nigeria over these matters. Otherwise, there would be talk from the sidewalk or sidelines, on and on, even in your own family. Not everyone, you know, gets on board concerning your aspirations, your core aspirations as a family. It is natural, you know. It is just natural. Yes. Any other?
Yeah, dollar pensions, risks deepening, naira instability.
Yes, what they are saying there is that people want to start contributing, you know, in dollars. That is their pension, whatever, and also get it back in dollars. You know, whether there are people working abroad, and you know, people who are paid because of the job they do, you know, in Nigeria.
Dollars, yes,
they want it to be dollar denominated. But experts are saying that this is likely to bring pressure on the dollar again. Remember, we said on Friday or Thursday that it is commendable that over a 4-month period, the naira seems to have firmed up, you know, stabilized around 1.5 or even 1.448, you know. So this is stability we want to continue in terms of fiscal expectations.
So thank you very much.
Yes.
Chooks, thanks for bringing so much stability.
You didn't say you saw me on NTA Nationwide yesterday.
You should have sent me a message and I would have.
My dear.
Anyway, I wasn't at home.
I forgot to do that.
Anyway, you did well.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Same here.
So see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation for today's Good Morning Nigeria will kickstart. Stay with us.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Each ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity. We know they carry love. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
TerraCube is available in beef, chicken, jollof, and crayfish flavors in 50 cubes Saver Pack and 100 cubes Super Saver Pack.
TerraCube. Unwrap joy. Unleash taste.
Progress no dey happen just like that. It dey come from support when you need help.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
Na money point oh.
Money point, thank you.
Customer, na transfer abi? Confirm.
Bro, na transfer.
Na money point, Oga. Oh, na confirm.
Progress na peace of mind when you know say payment go land as Sure Banker. Progress na small wind where they carry person go far.
No worry, yourself go make am. Mo go Bible.
Victor, even you they use money point?
Of course now, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money Point, made for your progress.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. 1 cube, endless possibilities.
No buy am! But why? No see say this big bull bag of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal. Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull holographic seal tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with holographic seal tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull rice. Do not buy if the holographic seal tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull rice, tasty rice nourished you.
Nivea Black and White Deodorant, now with 72-hour protection. But what does that mean? 3 cities in 3 days and no fear of sweat and odor. 120 dances with skin as smooth as the moves. Sweat, stain and odor protection. Nivea Black and White Deodorant. Skin is for embracing life. Nivea is for skin.
Guys, food is ready.
Suitable for jollof rice, stew, spaghetti, and yam portage. Cooked to impress.
Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky.
and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish your kids. Milo 3-in-1 is such a smart choice. Milo, energy to go further.
From Nestle.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance Rice Bran Oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance Oil. Good food, no worries.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Before we bring in our guest to speak on technical and vocational education initiative, let's take this background report by Timothy Yusuf.
The Technical and Vocational Education and Training Initiative is a flagship program of the Federal Ministry of Education in Nigeria. Its primary goal is to equip young Nigerians with industry-relevant practical skills for employment, self-reliance, and entrepreneurship. Findings show that the benefits of the program include free tuition paid directly by the federal government through NEL Fund. Another is monthly stipends of 45,000 naira for the duration of the program. Hands-on training led by industry professionals with real-world experience is another. Recognized certification is also another benefit expected by employers nationwide, as well as take-off grants comprising starter packs upon graduation to begin career. Beneficiaries also have an advantage to access business loans at low interest. Eligibility criteria range from short-term certificate program, which requires no prior educational qualification and is open to school leavers or individuals new to vocational training, among others. For details on technical and vocational education training initiatives, let's now join our guest in the studio.
Thank you so much, Timothy, for that background report, and that will push our conversation on the topic today. And seated here in the studio this morning is Professor Diauddin Bashir Hassan, Director of Special Duties and Special Assistant to the Executive Secretary, National Board for Technical Education, NBTE. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you, Haji Ajumbe and Mr. Demola. Good morning, Nigerians.
It's good to have you.
Yes,
and also joining us from our Kaduna studio is Engineer Abdul Audu, FNSE, Chief Lecturer and Director, Entrepreneurship Development Center, Kaduna Polytechnic, Kaduna. It's good to have you join us.
Good morning, Nadia. Good morning, the producer, and good morning, Nigerians.
Thank you. Also joining us all the way from Lagos is Engineer Doctor, from Lagos, Engineer Doctor in Auto Mechanic, Sandra Agwebo, MFR. She is member of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, First Lady Mechanic in Nigeria. She's CEO, Lady Mechanics Auto Gas Nigeria, National President, Lady Mechanic Association of Nigeria, National Treasurer, Amalgamated Union of Motor Mechanics and Technicians of Nigerian Automation, National Coordinator, Nigeria Skills Sector Council, and winner of My Nigeria documentary on Al Jazeera at New York Film Festival. Madam, good morning to you. Oh, she's not concentrating there. Anyway, let's kickstart our conversation. Professor Hassan, you are here, and I know you are so excited to come and tell us, the key drivers, of behind this Nigeria push for TVET, and how does it align with national development goals?
Thank you very much. And I think the audience, even though a brief has been given, they need to understand holistically what the TVET initiative is. Our TVET initiative is an initiative that was launched on 30th May by the Honorable Minister of Education, which basically looks at, is coming from the background of the index of Nigeria, looking at the demographic data, which we all know. We all know that about 70% of the population is under 30, which means our population is largely and basically about youth. But yes, the problem is that those youth are not employed. Quite a number of them. I'm not here to be spelling doom early in the morning, but everybody knows we have a very high figure when it comes to unemployment. Now, that is not the only problem. Another problem is those that are trying to even gain admission into this our tertiary institution. I think at one time the minister has spoken about it, and I will maybe reiterate it again. With all this large number of institutions that we have, if you look at the number of institutions under our purview, the MBTE is very huge. We are looking at the polytechnics, the various specialized institutions, the health institutions, and the rest. Look at the university with all the numbers and the colleges of education. But still, we have a problem whereby about over 5 million students try to get admission into these institutions, but unfortunately less than 2 million are admitted, which means every year you have a backlog of about 3-point-something million, and it is adding every year. So where do they go? They don't have the formal education, and if they are not skilled, then how do you move forward? So that is the problem. Additionally, we have addition into the labor market of about 5 million. So this initiative, I'm so excited about it, is because it is going to mop up those that we think are not going to be useful to the society, to be useful to themselves and to the society through this TVET initiative. So basically, it is about skilling our youth, this initiative, and aggressive measures have been put in place to ensure these large numbers are taken care of. And that is why I'm so excited. This is an initiative that is not political in any way. It is an initiative that is going to have multiple effects, positive ones, on the nation generally. And luckily, again, from the MBT side, under the leadership of Professor Idris Muhammad Bagaji, the Executive Secretary, before the initiative came on board, when he became the Executive Secretary, he has marshaled out a big plan, which he has implemented. So when this initiative came, the platform for its implementation became easy. I'll give you simple examples.
Okay.
For you to do this, which along the line I'm sure we'll talk about it, for you to do this skill training, what you need is a curriculum. Now, when you come to this specific skill training, what we are using is a different curriculum. You see, if you are doing the formal education, you have the ND-HND curriculum. But when it comes to this skill training, you need what we call NOS. Now, ahead of time, he has ensured that we have
NOS,
yes, right? National Occupational Standard.
Okay.
That is the curricula, just like you have ND in social program, HND, you have the curricula for it. Now, for this skill training, you need NOS, National Occupational Standard. Now, even before the coming of this initiative, he has gone out of his way to ensure that we have this NOS in critical areas.
Okay.
Now, for you to have this NOS, it requires a lot of funding. So he now devised a means of collaborating with the Sector Skills Council, with foreign entities such as China, under a certain program we call CABIA, for us to have the NOS and then domesticate it. And for the local components, such as the Sector Skills Council, that are able to fund this NOS development. I give you a simple example, not that I'm promoting them. For instance, the ICT, they are able to develop about 32 NOS. If you look at the creative media, they are looking at developing about 40. So all of these ones is coming differently from the private sector in such a way that it will help the federal government handle other issues. So when this initiative came, it's very big. If you look at the numbers now, we are trying to see, currently we have about 58,000 already enrolled, and then the numbers are
nationwide.
Nationwide. And then he was able to, again, digitalize the system. Because if Prof. Idris Muhammad Bagaji has not transformed the MBTE to be digital, it is not easy, this robust and big drive, to see that you have approved very large numbers of training centers.
Okay.
Is not going to be possible. As I'm speaking to you now, about 1,600 training centers have been approved within a very short time like this. So you can imagine, how will you do that manually?
The training centers, where are they located? Are they
spread? They are spread across the nation.
Even in the local communities,
everywhere.
we have them.
Because it is more of a policy in the program that you have to have a wider reach. the youth, the women, at the rural level, everywhere, because it's an all-inclusive initiative. And poverty are cut across everywhere. You find it in the village, you find it in the city. So if the program is not catering for everybody, then it is not going to be successful. So the success of it is largely lying on the reach that we have. And I assure you that reach has been attained. Everybody is inclusive.
All right.
Okay, everybody is inclusive. You know, it's like taking some steps back, because I remember, you know, in the past there were technical schools, they were functional, you know, in the 60s, in the 70s. If you're gonna, most people, if you know, understanding the intellectual capability of a person is also very important.
Exactly.
Not everybody is cut out for boardrooms, for schools and all that. And I think this government is taking a step back to ensure that entrepreneurship skill should be attained by people who feel they cannot get admission, and maybe they have the skill and the talent in them to be able to produce what we need in this country to push this country forward. I think that is a good initiative, and a lot of people are happy about it. Let's bring in Dr. Engineer Abdul Audu now. He's Chief Lecturer and Director, Entrepreneurship Development Center. He's joining us from our Kaduna Network Center. He's from Kaduna Polytechnic. Now, let's talk about positioning, you know, positioning technical and vocational education to reduce unemployment effectively. How does this initiative, you know, appeal to you as an entrepreneur?
It's an initiative that is very, very, how will I call it now, cardinal to the development of entrepreneurship skills in Nigeria. And in Kaduna Polytechnic, we have gone a very long way in ensuring that this program is properly entrenched and accepted by all. However, there are, just like Prof said there are several angles to this initiative. And for entrepreneurship training is different. Skill acquisition training, again, is different. There are two different things that we do here in Kaduna Polytechnic. For example, before now, I don't know whether you are aware that Professor Idris Bugaji, the current MBT ES, was the rector of Kaduna Polytechnic, and he started experimenting this from Kat Poly. We have what we call training the out-of-school children in vocational skills in Kaduna Polytechnic. And we train them in welding, carpentry, and all other things. And we also went into where we call the Pantika, the popular Pantika market, where we brought them out so that we can hone their skills to ensure that their productivity is enhanced, the quality of their product, what they produce from that Pantika market is developed to at least the national or sub-regional standard, so that their products are accepted. And as it were now, people in Pantika have started exporting their products to their crafts and a lot of things to countries like Niger, Chad, and other neighboring countries. So that is for the informal sector. And also we look at people that doesn't have prior learning. That is people who have no knowledge at all about anything Western. They are into hands-on. Some people they have not even been engaged in apprenticeship. So we carry them and start with them from the beginning, trying to instill in them the technical know-how of how to put their hands on the job. Now, for students in schools, as Prof said, what we have here is that for diploma students, for example, they are asked to take, that is under the new program, the new TVET program that Prof was explaining earlier. ND students, for example, will have to choose a skill from available skills that already have NOS, that is National Occupational Standard. While studying their main program, for example, if a student is in school for, let's say, electrical engineering, he is encouraged to take another skill in another area, possibly, let's say, plumbing, because you will still need to do a lot of plumbing while doing some installation works in houses and other connections. He will choose this under the TVET program, and as he's going out, he will go out with his ND in electrical engineering, and a professional certificate in plumbing, duly certified by the TVET program and other professional bodies that are there to help accredit these programs for us. Entrepreneurship development, again, in Kaduna Polytechnic, for example, and other polytechnics in Nigeria, also gives students the liberty to choose a skill again. For example, something as simple as henna design for women now is a skill in my school here, and girls are taught how to do it very well and domesticate it and ensure that it's a skill that they can earn a living from, so that youths out of school can get gainfully employed and gainfully engaged in such a way that they can also become employers of labor. As it stands today, it will surprise you to note that some of our trainers, that is master skills persons in some of our trades that we give entrepreneurship skill training in, are students too, because they have been able to prove that they have the skill to instill that skill in others through vocational training that we do at stipulated times, that does not disturb the formal study that the students have come into the school for. So today, the present Nigerian student has very, very wide opportunities to ensure that he or she becomes a more gainfully engaged person in the Nigerian polity. Going back a little to what you, Aja Ajumai, my sister, said, in the days gone by, there were technical colleges, and the curriculum of technical colleges helped a lot in shaping our industrial growth in Nigeria. But as it stands today, technical colleges are more or less non-existent in so many states of Nigeria. And there is need for this synergy between what we are doing in the schools, what MBT is doing, and what states are doing with regards to the reinvigoration of technical and vocational education in their various states. Yes, there are skills centers, quite all right. Like I said, skill centers can take care of people without prior learning, people with prior learning, and so on and so forth. But the technical and vocational schools, for technical colleges as we used to have them, can still be reinvigorated and rehabilitated so that it can cater for large population, because you can't have industrial development without technical and vocational education. And that is what all other countries that developed industrially took advantage of. But we, along the line, dropped the ball. And that is why we are where we are today. But thank God, the Federal Ministry of Education and MBT specifically have taken the initiative to ensure that this thing is properly domesticated while conforming to international best practices all over the world. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Engineer Audu, for your open remarks there. We'll go to Lagos, where we have Dr. Sandra. Dr. Sandra, if you have been following the discussion so far, we know that you have been at the forefront of training and mentoring young mechanics, especially the women, in Nigeria. Tell us, what has been your biggest, challenge or change since TVET began?
Good morning, Nigeria. My name is Sandra, Dr. Engineer Sandra Agwebo, the first lady mechanic in Nigeria, the founder of the Lady Mechanic Initiative, the National Treasurer, Amalgamated Union of Motor Mechanics and Technicians of Nigeria, the coordinator, National Coordinator, Nigeria Skill Sector Council. Lady Mechanic Initiative has done a whole lot in Nigeria, and of course we have our own big challenges. The challenges has been you getting, what I will say, sponsorship, funding, serious funding from the federal government for us to be able to do the things we are doing. I have single-handedly done a whole lot since I've been mechanic for 40 years. And I'll tell you, since the inception of the Lady Mechanic Initiative, we have now over 6,000 female mechanics in Nigeria in different areas of specialty. I have to start bringing women into the profession. Why? Because women pay serious details, you know, to what they want to do, except they don't want to do that. And so far, there's no car companies in Nigeria, you don't have the female mechanics. It has been, you know, a struggle. Why I say struggle? Not just only me being the person training these girls. TVET in Nigeria needs to be taken very seriously. I'm using this medium to thank the Honorable Minister for Education because he brought back the spark and the honor TVET should get in Nigeria. I was one of the speakers at the launch in Abuja the other day. TVET, you cannot even find the male folks coming into the workshop anymore to learn. It is a big problem for our nation. How do we encourage these people? They look at the auto industry, auto mechanics, that, oh, it's too dirty. It takes a while for you to be apprenticed and learn and, you know, become a master of your own. It is not just that. The federal government have, you know, a whole lot to do in that process. Like when they are saying, okay, you have to come into, you know, a program. There are a lot of things for you to feel. Most garages these days, because we have gone digital, a whole lot of them are still analog. So it's difficult for them, but they know the job, they know how to fix cars, they know what to do. So I think the federal government should, you know, try and have, you know, what we call, most of the time, NAPTEC have different stages of examination for these people. So we should have somebody that will go from garage to garage. Otherwise, they will not be interested and you will not find much. Even when you have a whole 1 billion naira or 10 billion launch for TVET in Nigeria, if you don't get people to go into this workshop to meet these people, because they cannot feel, they cannot even feel online all those rigorous question and answer. But they can train other young Nigeria coming into their workshop. My own, you know, challenges. I've done a whole lot on my own. I have a garage in Edo State. I have in Lagos State. It took me time to be able to even acquire my own landed property to get a workshop in Lagos. It wasn't for free. But at least the federal government should ask, you know, artisans questions. How can we help so that you can bring other people in? Because for the kind of vehicles we have on the road, I'll take Lagos for example, not even Abuja now. Who are the people fixing this car from the next 5-10 years when they start breaking down? Who are we encouraging to do this vehicle, fix these cars for Nigeria? Are we encouraging the youth couple that does not have a job that's read mechanical in school? Are we encouraging the mechanical student that finished from the Polytechnic? Of course, we know they don't have enough in the Polytechnic and enough practicals. But it is the practical that increase the bottom line of every company you need to work. That's what they look at before your certification. Because certificate cannot fix the car for the company to make money for them to be able to pay you. I'm just appealing to the federal government. They should look at the garages that have done a whole lot in Nigeria. Empowerment, training. I'm standing in for women because women, we multitask. I have a whole lot of females in different areas of specialty, be it upholstery, be it body work and spraying, baking, be it auto electrical, be it diagnostics, as long as it's automotive. I have all of them. A tailor can become you know, a car upholsterer. And when you finish, you can set up your own and start doing your job. Our training is broken down into different, you know, stages. We have training for 6 months. We have training for 1 year, so that these people can be interested in the skill. Because nobody really wants to dirty their hand against the youth of today. But they never knew that it's the gold of tomorrow. Everybody is on the fast lane. It's even women that are learning the skill these days. So that bothers me a lot. I used to think a lot, who is going to, where are we going to hand over to? Because the handing over means that the youth must be interested in what we are doing. How do we make them interested? The government should, you know, position the people, the artisans already doing the job nationwide. If you are going to take 10 from each state, take 10 from each state and, you know, fund them, give them equipment, all they need in their workshop, as long as they have their own workshop, equip their workshop. That alone will fly around to all artisans in the nation. Others will start coming in. You know, federal government really have a whole lot to do. Of course, the Honorable Minister for Education is encouraging artisans now. They've sent out a link that you have to, you know, fill and, you know, be part of what they are doing. Already, Lady Mechanic, we are failing to go into about 25 states of the nation. We have our guests all over the place. I went into Kano even when that place was not really settled. I have guests in Kano City who says the northern guests cannot do anything. They are strong women. They can do. And in the TVET industry, in the automotive industry, we
the network there has gone, but I'm sure she will come back to finish her contribution. Let's now return here to the studio where Prof. Hassan is seated. Tell us what makes this initiative, you know, different from past youth empowerment programs, you know, that struggle with sustainability. And tell us, you talked about measures, you know, measures. So what is in place now to address poor infrastructure, which she has mentioned, in technical colleges and vocational centers? You say the visual measures are out there.
Yes,
can you
exactly
break it down for us to understand?
Yes, a lot is on ground, and it's sustainable, because when this initiative was envisaged, I think they look at the whole value chain of it, and all aspects of it has been addressed. And I will give you specific examples so that the audience will not think I'm just making political statements. Very tangible terms. Now, first, what was done is to look at the sustainability in terms of funding. You know, funding is critical, and we are not talking about funding, and that is why I keep stressing. This is not political. Not political in the sense that it is going to be self-sustaining, the mechanisms that were put in place. At the exit of the minister, at the exit of the regime itself, this progress will continue. How? You see, the funding is coming from TED Fund. Now, 5% of the total budget of TED Fund is going into these TVET activities. Now, for those that are conversant with TED Fund, they know it is heavily loaded. Mm-hmm. And when you are talking about 5% of that, you know the sustainability is there. And I don't want people to be thinking like, when do you do the math, 5% of what TED Fund is having, where are we going? I will explain to you later. You will see where these monies are going. It is a capital-intensive project, and you needed the drive, and that is why I'm happy. People should key into this, because you have an executive secretary leading the largest regulatory body in Africa, because we have about 900 institutions under our purview. His motto has been skills, not degrees. And not only now, since 2009, way before he even moved to become the executive secretary of MBTE, he has even published a book, and he's talking about how skill can be used as a tool for empowerment and getting people out of poverty. It is there, documented, 2009. So you can imagine that some person now at the helm of the affairs of the skill body. And at the same time, we are now lucky again to have a minister who is speaking the same tone with the executive secretary. While the executive secretary is talking about skills, not degree, the minister is saying, let us skill our youth. So there is no better time for us to take advantage of this. Now back to the funding issue. If you have this 5%, that is not all. Let me quickly give you an idea before I move to the second funding body. We have funding coming from NEL Fund so that we don't mix it up. Mm-hmm. Now, The program has a flagship of 3 categories: short term, medium term, and long term. The short term, which is for 6 months, they call it Master 6. You don't need anything. So far you are a Nigerian, you have NIN, they will train you for 6 months. They will pay you stipends, as it has been mentioned. They will give the institution that is training you. And because it's a hands-on training, you need to go to the industry to do your work. They will pay the master craftsman at the industry. So why wouldn't you want to do? Free. The next one is for 12 months, which means Masters 12, which means you need not only the NIN, but you need maybe another additional certificate of primary school leaving certificate. And then you have the last training category, which is done at the federal and state technical institutions, colleges. Now, for 3 years, for this, of course, the requirement is different. But what we are saying is we are training the whole spectrum. Everyone should get training, and it's free. So that means you need huge funding.
It's free.
It's free. Now, I said the institution will be giving tuition fees, the students will be given the stipends, then the master craftsmen will also be paid. So while that 5% from TED Fund is going, NEL Fund is now coming in to support the payment of these students and then the rest of the activities. So you can see you have sustained funding from institutions that have the mandate to fund. Now that is not all. Now MBTE has to come in, because funding is one part, and then accreditation, regulation, maintenance of all these things, monitoring and evaluation has to come in for the program to be sustained. Now MBTE is the body that is mandated to regulate anything that has to do with TVET, and the institution has been there since 1977. So you can see the institutions that are handling this, they were not just drafted or crafted just now for this as a vehicle to fund this. No, there are existing institutions which have been leveraged on and been given directives on how to handle it. So the program is going to be sustainable.
Let's talk about infrastructure. I asked you about infrastructure. What are you doing to upgrade the infrastructures in these training centers? She mentioned it.
I wanted to talk to her because I think in all that she has said, she hasn't mentioned MBT. MBT has been doing a lot in these areas. Now, let me quickly look at the infrastructure. There are standardized tools for assessing a training center. So if you want to have a training center, it has been made easy. The checklist is there. You want to establish a training center, just look at it, do your needful, go online and do everything because it's digital. MBT will look at whether you've met this requirement and then it will certify you. And this infrastructure is not limited to state, federal, private sectors. And in fact, they are driving it more. You establish your training center and you can do the training in these various trade areas that have been identified. About 25 programs into about 7 categories.
What about the schools itself, the colleges of education, the technical colleges and vocation? They have been existing before.
Yes,
I'm talking about upgrading infrastructure.
I'm moving away from this because really it's sad. But since you are forcing me, let me talk about it.
Yes.
You see, the problem we had was there was negligence from the part of the federal government, honestly. The technical and vocational education has just been sidelined for a very long time, until now, as I'm talking to you now. My executive secretary, in one of the interviews, I think, with the NTA itself, has given that figure, which I know you know, but you want me to repeat, so I will repeat it.
I want you to talk about it. Yes. You are the expert.
Yes, my executive secretary at one time has said it publicly, that is Professor Idris Mahmoud Bagaji, that one of the challenges of the TVET sector is that at the state level and federal level, we are downplaying the TVET institution. And that is what led to what we have currently. You have about 15,000 conventional secondary schools. And what do you have for technical schools? 100 plus. You know, it doesn't make sense. And these technical colleges is where you have input to these technical institutions at the tertiary level. So you have now truncated them, left them to decay completely to the level that you are talking about 100 against 15,000. You know, it's a big problem. But this problem, since he came on board, a lot of measures have been put in place to see that they are being revived. And with these incentives coming from the TVET initiative, I'm sure the state government will having a rethink of converting some of their secondary schools to become fully technical colleges. And I think that will address some of this deficit that we are having and the gaps.
Okay, let me ask you before we go to Engineer Audu. You earlier on you said that all these training workshops are spread across, the whole country.
Exactly.
Now, how do you monitor the quality, especially of the trainers themselves?
The training has two
what
components.
Mechanism do you put in place?
The mechanism you are talking about, you are looking at the quality assurance.
Yes.
So the quality assurance, we have two layers of it. We have the internal quality assurance, and then we have the external quality assurance. For the internal quality assurance is done at the institutional level and then at the training centers.
Okay.
While at the external level, you have the verifiers that are doing that. You have the awarding bodies, you have the sectoral awarding bodies, like that. So, and the qualification that you are getting out of it is the NSQF. You are getting is done under the National Skills Qualification Framework, where you are supposed to get at the end of the day an NSQ certification. Now, the NSQ certification is a global certificate. There are standard ways of handling it. So we are strictly following that. So when it comes to the training itself, it's not anybody that will wake up today and say, I want to be training skill in this area. You have to undergo certain form of training to be an assessor. And we have three categories of these assessors that are doing assessors verifiers. We have the first layer being the QA quality assurance assessor, internal quality assurance manager, and then the external quality assurance manager. They have to undergo a training to be certified under the NSQF framework for them to be able to do this training and assess those that are undergoing this training. At the same time, the awarding bodies, the sectoral awarding bodies, I'm using sectoral because each of the sector have its own awarding body, and they are made of industrialists, those that are in the industry who understand what is required to define the competency level required for each of them. They are overseeing what is happening. So all these ones comes into play. I'll give you a simple example of myself. I'm a professor of chemical engineering. I've been a professor for quite some time. I've taught in several universities, both within and outside. I've worked in the ministry, science and technology. I work in the nuclear industry and all of that. So by all standards, I'm a fine professor. But when it comes to skill, it's a bit different thing. The highest body is the EQAM, that is External Quality Assurance Manager. I have not yet reached that level. I am an Internal Quality Assurance Manager. Just to give you an idea that this is a very strict, regulated and monitored training that you do. So you have to attain a certain level of qualification before you deliver a certain aspect of this training activity that we are doing. So everything is well structured, strictly followed, because any violation, there will be sanction along the line of anybody that is found along this line. Now the certification, this NSQ certification that I'm talking about is an international certification. You don't even need to carry it around. You have your number. Anywhere you give it, if it is imputed, everything about you, where you did the training, who assessed you, who is the sectoral body that gave the award, and everything will be there. So it's QR coded.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you,
okay,
Mr.
we'll get back to you. Let's go to Engineer Audu now, because earlier on you talked about the challenges that we have in technical, institutions in this country because they are being discriminated against. When you look at when people present certificate from technical education or polytechnics, they really, most times, they are seen as second class to those from the universities. So how does this perception of, TVET as a second class education pathway impact, in the uptake, and how can there be a change? How can this challenge be addressed?
It is very simple and straightforward. We need to do more advocacy from all the stakeholders concerned, both institutional stakeholders and individual stakeholders. Also, there should be more education of the populace as to what this is. Because, like I said earlier, we dropped the ball a long time ago and allowed technical schools to go off of the scene, thereby entrenching the belief that the vocational education is not anything to take serious as far as the Nigerian economy or the Nigerian polity is concerned. For example, the state where I come from, we have 21 local governments, and we just have about 4 technical schools. 5 technical schools, sorry, out of 21 local governments. And you can imagine the number of secondary schools in one local government, just the former secondary schools in one local government. But the technical schools there can't be one technical school per local government. And all the technical schools I mentioned, the 5 I mentioned, none is functional. And this is replicated in almost every state of Nigeria. So the belief that the vocational work is for the less endowed intellectually has been entrenched over time. And unless you come and speak huge grammar like we are speaking now in the studio, and you go to fora where you can talk to a large population of people and talk very sweet, you are not recognized. And if you are even, let's say you are an auto mechanic, like the mechanic said, you are downgraded, you are looked down upon. But Prof, the education that we are talking about is coming gradually, and it will come if we sustain it. Prof has just said it, that even at his level, he has not attained a particular level of qualification that will enable him to assess or do quality assurance checks on training centers. For example, I personally am an engineer. I've been practicing for more than 40 years now. And still, I cannot boast of saying that I have a very strong skill in some skill areas that are even related to mechanical engineering, that is my field. And because it requires endured training for somebody to come out and become an expert or a skilled person in a particular trade area. Outside the general mechanical engineering that I studied, I'm a welder, for example. But in welding, there are different aspects of welding that a welder is supposed to be trained in. And if you are not consistent, if the funding is not there, because one welding machine is very costly, just one, and then the things that go with it, the appliances and appurtenances that go with the welding operation, they are all very costly things. So if there is no funding, it will not work well. So it's a lot of challenges. The societal value that we place on life is the problem. And the society cannot grow if all it has to value life with is the outcome, just money, not the process. There should be value on the process. And the process is starting from the basics. Because my people say you cannot climb a tree from the top. You only climb a tree from the bottom. That's why it's called climbing. So if you neglect the basics, there's still no way we can get it. So it's good we are doing this now. Nigeria is doing this now. Like I said, we pick people up and train them. But they must be shown the way that, well, you need to put your hands on something to be able to come out with something. The era of easy wealth is no longer there. The economy is biting hard. So if you cannot do something, you cannot survive. But a lot of our people, especially the elites, have gone out to see these things work elsewhere. For centuries, let me say it, Britain, for example, was running on apprenticeship. They were running their industry and their economy on apprenticeship schemes. And some of those people came here when I was a teacher in secondary school under what we call VSOs, Voluntary Service Overseas. They all came with hands-on skills to teach children in secondary school when we started introducing Intro-Tech in our secondary schools. And they tried to do it, but if you go back to all our secondary schools now, Intro-Tech is just a classroom lesson that children are given. No workshop to go with it, no laboratories to go with it. So a child will be taught how to do woodwork in the class alone, on the board, and in the books that he sees. Apart from that, nothing else to write home about. And Nigeria started downgrading technical vocational education when this Intro-Tech of a thing was introduced, thinking that all secondary schools will now have basic technical education for children, not knowing that the entrenched interests in the secondary school education will still drop that because of this belief that it is not for the knowledgeable. Meanwhile, technical and vocational education is not for the dropout. In those days, if you fail, they will say go to technical school. But it's not so. If you don't even have the intellect to put things together, you can't be involved in technical and vocational education. So the best way to go is, one, funding, everybody have said it. Two, the development of the infrastructure that is needed for technical and vocational education to thrive. Three, encouragement. Let's encourage people, encourage young people. These days, you go online to social media, let's say Facebook, a profile of young people, everybody is a digital creator, content creator. What content are you creating? Using the handsets that is in their hands. That is what we are talking about. But there are so many other things that we can do outside these areas, and we'll still develop the economy. Therefore, we need to keep on advocating that this is the best way to go, using the examples like we are all saying here. Prof has said it, I have said it, Lady Mechanic have said it. These things work elsewhere, and we are now planning or trying to domesticate it in Nigeria. But people, state governments especially, not even the federal government, state governments are the ones that are failing mostly in this area. They don't want to domesticate this. You go to some states, Togri is more lucrative than vocational jobs. Togri, by political talks, is more lucrative. So you see thousands of boys following politicians around, engaged in Togri because they get free money from the politicians. Tell them to go and do something with their hands, they will not do it. Even the starter packs they give, some politicians organize short courses for skills training. They give them, they will sell the packs to people who are already established artisans and technicians to make use of. They don't make use of it. So this thing, the sustainability at the state level is the major problem, not even the federal government, not at the federal level. So state governments must wake up and do better than they are doing now. Take it serious that if you don't put your hands on something, you don't get anything. But once the youth are made to believe that you can get everything, even without putting your hands on something, then the effort will just not yield any result that we expect it to yield. So we need to do better, and then there should be synergy between all the stakeholders. And like I mentioned earlier, both institutional stakeholders and individual stakeholders, proprietors of schools, proprietors of people should be encouraged not to set up, keep setting up. You go to a city, for example, like Kaduna here that we are, I believe there should be up to 200 secondary schools in Kaduna, private secondary schools. Let me put it that way. Almost in a particular street, you will see up to 3 or 4 secondary schools, private secondary schools, poorly equipped, poorly manned, and so on and so forth. But you can't find a single private technical and vocational training center. I'm not talking of established carpenters, auto mechanics, and the rest that already have their apprentices. I'm talking of established and formalized technical vocational training centers by individuals. Everybody sets up secondary school. Nobody bothers about the special vocational education. So
I believe we'll be able to throw that question to Prof when we get to him, but we need to remind our viewers that you can send your text messages on WhatsApp and the number you see on the screen there so that we can read it out to our guests in the studio. I'm going to read some of them before we get to our Lagos studio. Honorable Avoshe Hodiwu Suru in Lagos said, "Good morning, Nigeria. Thank God Nigeria is waking up to reality, facing our challenges head on in the introduction of the technical and vocational initiative. But it should not stop at that. Let it not be theories. Let initiative be majorly practical in order to make it what it's supposed to achieve. Enough of bookings." And Nandom Wuyeb from Jos said, "This is a very timely topic. For students and families who cannot afford a traditional multi-year university degree or who may not be suited for it, career schools offer a more accessible and often less expensive route to a stable career. Career schools are important because they provide specialized hands-on training that leads to high-demand jobs, offering a direct path to skilled employment and financial stability. Government should build more career schools to address skill gaps in the economy. reduce youth unemployment by providing practical skills to the job market, and offer alternative affordable pathways to employment for individuals who may not pursue traditional higher education. I thank the guests in the studio for their service. God bless Nigeria. And Musa Abubakar said, good morning. How much involvement do state and local governments have to this wonderful initiative by the federal government? And another one said, I'm a graduate of economics since 2022. I'm currently in Ebonyi without gainful employment. Please, I want to be trained in furniture. How can I reach you, sir? That's Prof, to be a partaker of this program. Quite interesting messages that came in, Mr. When we come back from Lagos, you take yours. Okay, let's return to Engineer Dr. Sandra, who is in Lagos there. You know, my colleague here in the studio mentioned the stigma attached, you know, to vocational education that is out there. And how can Nigerians overcome that stigma? Because when people, I don't want to be a mechanic, you're a trailblazer in teaching women especially to be providers also in their homes so that they can lessen the burdens on their husbands and on families. So compared to university education, how can we remove the stigma and encourage people to join, you know, hand skills actually to be able to earn more money and contribute to the Nigeria's economy? How can you do that?
Very much. With due respect to the Executive Secretary of MBTE, Prof was saying I did not mention MBTE. Of course, without MBTE, there's no technical vocation in Nigeria. Of course, I was still coming to that. I'm part and parcel of MBTE. I've worked with them. Fantastic Executive Secretary we have there right now. Okay, now, I had words with my brother in Kaduna State. All he has been saying, it is just the truth. When I was learning how to fix cars in 1985, I've been mechanic for 40 years. It is the job that is keeping me. The way I am moving, the what I'm doing, it is the profession because I have love for it, love for what I'm doing. Because if it is just money that is making me do it, of course, I would have made from repairs, maybe about 10 million naira from different car companies. I take up their fleets to repair and just go home and sit down. No, I decided to impart my knowledge into other women. One, taking them off, literally taking them off the streets. Because if you catch the Nigerian woman today, you are catching a whole lot of children, a whole lot of youth. If you don't take care of the women, how can we have a good, okay, a sustainable, you know, youth? When I say sustainable youth, the youth that we find in social media, like what my brother in Kaduna was saying, they are doing different things. Girls are involved in crime. Lady Mechanics decided, you know what? Let's take the bull by the horn. It's not all about being, you know, having PhD in university or Harvard school. Not about that. Your skill, your hands-on should be like 80% and theory 20%. Because when you employ these people in any car company, it is what they bring in practically that is increasing the bottom line of every company that matters to those companies. Not really, you know, the PhD you are bringing. Yes, you must know how to read and write. You must be able to, you know, have communication skill to talk to your customer, etiquetting, entrepreneurial skills, accountability, which we are doing at the Lady Mechanic Initiative where we train these girls. I decided to tell women, do you know what? You can even drive a truck. There's nothing a man is doing out there with their hands you cannot do. You cannot continue to depend on men or depend on your husband. Nigeria of today, we all know that things are a bit tight for everybody. But if you are that woman that have a skill, forget about your beauty first. Every woman is beautiful. I'm talking here now, I'm not ugly, I'm beautiful. But I've been a mechanic for 40 years, and I'm still doing what I'm doing today. I said to women, wake up from your sleeping corner. You cannot continue just paint all your nails and hang your leg and think life is a bed of roses. Wake up, because whatever any woman is doing today, the children are watching. So now, coming back to the skill, the hands-on skill, the lady mechanic has now taken women into truck driving. We have women truck drivers. We have women cab drivers. We have women mechanics. We have women diagnostic technicians. We have women spraying and body work. We have women vulcanizers. We have women doing a whole lot up to plumbing. I told women, what makes you to bring down yourself and thinking you are not able to do anything? No. Even when you are doing this skill, you can go and enroll in any open university and be doing part-time. As long as you know how to read and write, you have finished your WAEC, you can start something. I started going to the workshop at the age of 12. It was a taboo. I was being humiliated. People were laughing at me. I was always crying. And my father said, let them laugh at you today. Tomorrow you'll be celebrated. And that was true, because I was now, taken to the U.S., sponsored by the American government, to about 7 states in the U.S., to Detroit, where they manufacture, General Motors, the General Motors. I was taken to a lot of places. I was like a queen from Nigeria. Nigeria is blessed. But what can we all do? We cannot leave everything for the government. We cannot continue to complain about the federal government. We are all the government. I'm doing my own part. Somebody in Ebonyi State there has a whole lot of idea. This idea, the person will come out on Facebook and show what they are doing. They can manufacture a prototype vehicle. But nobody is going to look for them. As at this point, Nigeria is supposed to have an academy for young people, catching them young, from age 10. When you catch them like that, we've started it in public school. Lady Mechanic took the workshop into public secondary school. We have done it in Agidigbo in Lagos. I've done it in Imo State with Santa Maria Secondary School. I took the workshop in there with coding and robotic, taking these young pupils. If you don't catch them young and start changing their mindset, they think abroad, traveling abroad, greener pasture abroad is what they... There's no greener pasture anywhere if you don't create it with your hands. I'm using this medium to appeal to the federal government. They are doing a lot, but the lot is not getting to where it's supposed to get to. With due respect to my Honorable Minister for Education, by bringing spark and honor back to the TVET, the automotive industry, the hands-on skills in Nigeria, I thank him a lot, and I thank the Executive Secretary of MBTE. We need to do more. We need to identify the trainers in Nigeria. Me, for myself, I've been struggling. When I say struggling, I have to fix cars, my proceeds from the car, I have to use to buy equipment, put in the workshop, to be able to train people. No.
Well, Dr. Sandra, you're so passionate about this, and it's so obvious, and it's not contestable at all. We just have to cut you there, because we need to go on this break. When we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us.
Your host, Bisola Ayola.
Hi, everyone. Woo! All the way from Akwa Ibom State, it's the Sensational Family. Woo! And all the way from Benue State, it's the TWC Family.
Christiana. I'm a fashion designer.
My name is Christiana. I'm a fashion designer. You are into Asia. You are into catering. You are into another thing. I sing. You sing as well. Oh my God. Grace, take it away.
All around the world, no one looks like you. You can put a smile on your face. You're beautiful. For the Spirit of the Lord lives and dwells in you.
Mention a common response if your situationship should ask you, what are we?
Pass. We are just friends. One item. Or like a sister to me.
Nothing.
Lovers.
We are who we are. We are who we are. Survey says.
We can change the narrative about Nigeria. You know, when people talk about Nigeria, they talk negatively about it most of the times. So it's the role of the filmmakers to now bring that positive side of Nigeria for the world to understand that Nigerians are more than the negative information they used to get. And we can do that digitally because in those days, you know, you have to communicate or go for lectures for people to understand where you're coming from. But now you have these platforms. Everything you have can go on these platforms. People will see globally. Look at Nigeria on Netflix. It's doing really very well. When Nigerian films premiere on Netflix, you find out that they're in the top 5 or top 10 in most of the European countries, Asian countries, and all other parts of the world. So this is one of the ways through which we can be able to export that, you know, or do that cultural exchange.
How much of being a Nigeria cultural ambassador are you? And we are all guilty of this. Most of us Nigerian filmmakers are guilty. So here we see a good number of us telling stories that are still Western culture dominated. From the naming of your characters, from the writing of your story, the characters are named English names. What happens to Yoruba names? What happens to Hausa names? What happens to Igbo names? What happens to Tiv names? What happens to our cultural epic names? Oh, they say, but they will not be able to pronounce it. Oh, leave that to them. Do we pronounce their own names? We have to be intentional about how we represent our culture, knowing now that the world is a global space and you don't need people's permission. Everything you do, directly or indirectly, intentionally or unintentionally, you're putting the Nigerian story out there. I think we should begin to make conscious attempts at creating our own streaming platforms. So we thank God for giant streaming platforms like Prime Video. We thank God for giant streaming platforms like Netflix and the rest of them. But what happens if today or if tomorrow we come up with our own Nigerian Netflix?
Nigeria at 65, a continental giant takes another step forward, navigating the contradiction fueled by a colorful and resourcefully diverse populace, yet questions linger on the destination of state, propelled by the vagaries of nationhood. What is your contribution to this journey? Join the NTA and an eclectic mix of everything Nigerian, from the academic deans to the street kings, who will lend their voices on the platform that has always been a part of the journey. The NTA on October 1st, 2025.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And our discussion is still on technical and vocational education in Nigeria. Our guests are still here. And before we took that short break, the lady mechanic, Dr. Sandra, was speaking with us. But because of time, we have to return to the studio so that we can respond to some of the comments and questions that have been sent by our viewers. Earlier on, my colleague read out some comments and questions. which I think you want to respond to. Maybe I should read out this, or you want to respond to those ones first?
I can combine them.
You can combine them. Okay,
yes.
good.
But if you want, I can respond to the first one, and then we do this.
It's because of time, actually.
Let me
go
it.
ahead.
A viewer was asking online about how he can. He has graduated since 2022, and then he wants to join the TVET activities and initiative. What I want to tell him, and also the general audience, is that everything is digital in our world. If you are in Ebonyi, if you are in Sokoto, if you are in Maiduguri from Lagos, you don't have to go anywhere. Just go online, look at MBTE. There are a lot of websites there. Look at the one that is most applicable to you, and then you apply. And in case you have any hitches, we have a full-fledged ICT unit in MBTE. You can reach out to us, and then we'll take time to guide you where necessary. Just drop a mail. We can handle the rest. And there was
where will you send the mail to?
If you just type MBTE, you will see where you can. It's user-friendly, the interface of the platform. Since the coming of the ES on board Prof. Idris Muhammad Bugaji, not only he has digitalized MBTE, but he has digitalized every aspect of it. And as I'm speaking to you now, before he came on board, we only have one link online, but we have now 16. He has added 15 links to the various activities that we are doing, specific ones. So that is why I said it's user-friendly, and when you go online, you will always see what is most applicable to you. Before we take this question from you, Mr. Ademola, I think Dr. Sandra made mention of a number of things, but I want to correct her. She said she was treated like a queen. When you say like, then you are not the queen. She is a queen. She has made her mark. She has contributed significantly on the local and global stage.
She's a trailblazer.
She's a trailblazer. And it's true. She has been able to reach up north very well, because now when you go to Kano, my home city, you find lady mechanics and doing well. And I think I came to know her through the lady mechanics that I saw at a different time, and then reference was made to her before I now knew who Dr. Sandra was. And I want to again add more to what my good brother, my elder brother, Dr. Abdul Audi said. He was a colleague back over 2 decades when I was in Kaduna Polytechnic. That's why I'm saying as an elder brother. When I joined, he was already a senior colleague. So just to add to the issue of this dichotomy that we are having discrimination, it has gone far and beyond now, because it has gone to the legislative side. In fact, the good news is that the speaker himself, Dr. Tajuddin Abbas, the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, has taken it upon himself to sponsor a bill that will ensure that discrimination goes away, and a lot of legislative effort is being made at different levels, including what the chairman of our side is doing at the National Assembly. So I think in no time, if this effort by the National Assembly is sustained and the necessary legislative acts are passed, I think this thing will be a thing of the past. Maybe we can take the question.
Let me just read out this one. This one is, my name is Ambassador Dr. Nicholas Daniel. Based on these issues, I expected federal government to give maximum support to technical and vocational education system so that the initiative will encourage the youths in Nigeria. Also, they should give them opportunity to further more in the university. Yeah, this one says, good morning, Nigeria, good program, but the technical teachers should be well paid. Then this is from Chike Wari Delta. It says, the initiative to promote technical and vocational education is a welcome development, and I hope Nigerians will seize this opportunity. In today's fast-paced world, entrepreneurial and technical skills are essential for harnessing the power of scientific and technological advancement. Countries like China, India, and other Asian tigers have successfully integrated vocational and technical education into their curricula, which has contributed significantly to their growth and success in the modern science tech era. By embracing a similar approach, Nigeria can empower its citizens to thrive in an increasingly tech-driven world. Jack Abba from Makodi says, technical and vocational education initiative is the way to go. It will get those involved, especially the genuinely talented ones, into self-employment, focusing on the institutions that will this is important ideas should be topmost to help our economy and curtail youth excessive aggressions. And the last one by Dr. Nasil Bello from Gombe. It says, good morning, Nigeria. This program will fix the deficiencies of our traditional degrees in terms of practical. TVET is responding to the call of the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs, which projected that by 2025, 50% of employees will need reskilling, and TVET is addressing the need for reskilling. Professor Hassan, you want to comment on something?
Yes, a number of questions, but let me quickly look at it. One of them is talking from the ambassador. He said the FG should support the TVET initiative and also for the youth and also how they can further their education. I think at the beginning I've talked about the challenges that the nation has in terms of getting people into our tertiary institutions because of the large numbers of applicants and then the slots available, and that is why we are pushing to ensure that the TVET sector comes on board to be able to ensure that it mops up almost everybody if possible. With this initial draft of 5 million now, and we are moving forward, which I said already 58,000 have been taken, and then we are looking at more. And for the support, I think the federal government honestly is doing all that it can. You know, I was talking about the sustainability of it. I talked about a few components, and I said there are many because of the time constraint. I've talked about the funding. I've talked about the regulatory framework coming from MBT. Another thing that we are doing is we are not just leaving it like that. You know, we talk about there is need for you to have NSQF trainers, which is not just like any trainer, any training. It has to be a specific training, which I gave example with myself. I am an internal quality assurance manager, and then there are more steps ahead. Now, what the federal government is doing now in terms of support under this initiative, it is that we are training in 6 geopolitical zones, trainers in this category to have the QAA certification. I was there in Lagos on 22nd to declare the workshop in the southwest zone. And we are doing 3 training in 3 geopolitical zones, which will be ending on 4th. And then we are starting with the second batch of the 3 geopolitical zones that have not been captured. At the moment, we have southwest in Lagos, we have the northeast in Gombe, and then another training in Kano for the northwest. So we now are going to start 3 more for the north central on 6th, for the south on 6th, and then for the for the southeast on 6th. So we are going to go widespread. There was this issue of payment of teachers to be upgraded. I think it's something that they will look at later. Okay. The issue of seizing opportunity. Let me talk about seizing opportunity and also self-employment entrepreneurship. Basically, the whole essence of this initiative is for people to be self-employed. Okay. The issue of getting people skilled is not for them to be skilled and get into the government and things like that. To be able to stand on your own, to be able to be independent. Okay. Even though the certificate that you have been given, which is NSQ certificate, will allow you to get employment with the government. But the basic drive is for you to be self-employed so that you can even employ others if you are an entrepreneur. The issue of seizing this opportunity, everybody should try to seize this opportunity, because the training is not only for us to be trained to work in Nigeria. There's a program which we call Nigeria Youth Empowerment Scheme. All this Japada people are doing illegally and all of that with no dignity. Now, what is happening is that the board.
You have this skill.
Okay.
I have to
because of time.
Okay.
But I want to ask you.
We'll come to you for your final words.
Okay. I want to ask.
Yes.
We are going to come back.
Thank you.
Is it only for you? What about people that are above 30? Are they also?
Yes, they are.
Good.
Okay. Let's
they are part of it. Yes, that is why I say it's all inclusive.
Yes, Engineer Abdul, you've listened, and you know a lot of people are saying curriculum change is necessary, and I believe the Ministry of Education has brought out new curriculum to catch them young. So, in what ways should the curriculum be improved, like in the polytechnics, you know, to meet global technical standards here? I'll give you 1 minute to respond to that.
The current curricula that we run in the polytechnics are always subject to review periodically, and what we call critique workshop organized by the MBTE. Prof is there to tell you more about that. But our curricula are always up to the international standard, because we get feedback from our products that go outside Nigeria either to study or to work. So the curriculum is always well run and well drafted. the only thing is that it should always be maintained to be of the correct standard. And the practical component of most courses in the polytechnics are always higher than the theory component. I heard somebody say something about it should not be only in the class, it should be practical and what have you. There are courses, for example, that if a course is has a credit unit of 4 credit units, you will see that 3 is tailored towards practical and only 1 is for lectures. What it means is that you have 3 hours practical and 1 hour lecture. That is what we do in the Polytechnic currently. So our curricula are well run and well designed. Somebody talked about designing curricula even for this the TVET that we're talking about. Even it's interesting to know that even the World Bank is involved through what we call Ideas Project. I was one of the people who went trying to draft the concept notes for the Ideas Project in various skill areas. As Prof is mentioning there, is driven by MBT also. The Ideas Project is domesticated at the MBT and is running it. And the master craftsmen and the rest that we drafted from the various trades, established carpenters, established mechanics, and so on and so forth, are now being trained by the MBT, as he said, he told you. So the curriculum has been properly drafted and criticized by experts along the line.
Well, thank you so much, Engineer Audu. Sorry, we have to break in there. We need to go to Lagos now, where we have Dr. Sandra. In just 60 seconds, you know, earlier on, Engineer Audu talked about the need for us to have a rethink, a change, a paradigm shift, you know, from what we used to carry the paper certificate to the practical. What advice do you have?
I want to advise. I know a lot of people are watching this now. The federal government of Nigeria need to set up a think tank committee on technical education in Nigeria. It's not enough that the bodies that keep funding for technical education, most of them are not doing the job. Most of them, it does not get to the garages. I am the national treasurer of the Amalgamated Union of Motor Mechanics and Technicians of Nigeria. When you say you are an agent of the federal government, if the federal government have done their own by setting out funds into all these agencies, why don't you use it for the technicians? Because these technicians, they are just there, down there, doing nothing because other people seeing them like the youth corpers. They are not interested because they see the way these people are being carried. Technical education, artisans, they are the gold mine of every country. Why? Because without skill, no nations thrive. When it comes to maintenance and repair, we need to encourage the artisans. Okay, the federal government have housing ministry. Why are they not having housing or shop building garages nationwide for artisans?
Lady CEO and Engineer Doctor in Auto Mechanic Sandra Agwebo, that's MFR member of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and First Lady of Mechanic in Nigeria, and also Engineer Abdul Audu, FNSC, Chief Lecturer and Director, Entrepreneurship Development Center, Kaduna Polytechnic. We thank you so much for your contribution this morning. We appreciate you, and I'm sure Nigerians have learned a lot from this conversation. Thank you so much. And I'm back in the studio. Prof, what next? What next?
I would just advise that people should try and key into this initiative now that everything is aligned. You have an executive secretary.
Everything is aligned. Thank you so much. Well, that's where we draw the curtain this morning. Thank you so much, Professor Hassan, for coming.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine for having me. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you all viewers for joining for this program. My name is Ademola Adeoye. Do have a lovely day.
And I'm Jumo Yusuf. A fruitful week ahead. Thank you.